What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rehash the Slash, the horror show where we review horror movies and horror accessories. I'm Nate, and I'm joined with
Paige.
And today, if you couldn't guess by our sweet table decorations, we're talking about Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yeah.
Of course, as with the first episode, spoilers ahead. We're going to be discussing our favorite quote, our favorite kills, our general thoughts on the movie, and what the hell happened to Paul?
Where is Paul?
Of course, if that sounds interesting to you, stick around. We are going to be diving deep. And thank you so much to everyone who's tuned into the channel so far. We appreciate the support.
Yes, very much so.
And if you missed our first episode, of course, there'll be a link right here where you can check out our review / conspiracy theory discussion of Friday the 13th Part 1. And last but not least, if you're interested in following us on social media, check us out. Twitter and Instagram.
Yes.
That website.
That one.
Rehash the Slash. Super easy to find. So without further ado, Paige, do you want to give us the synopsis of Friday the 13th Part 2?
Yes. Okay. So second entry in the long-running horror series focuses on teenage would-be camp counselors. Flashes forward to 5 years later from the first installment. Camp Blood is what they call it. This time the killer is Jason Voorhees, who is mourning the death of his mother, Pamela.
And he would love nothing more than to spend his time killing teens who are on the cusp of having premarital sex.
And doing drugs.
Doing the drugs. Yeah. Takes place at Packanack Lodge, which at this point in the series, you're like, how big, even just 2 parts in, you're like, how big is Crystal Lake?
Right.
Because Part 3 also takes place on Crystal Lake, and so does Part 4. And you're like, is this just the world's most massive lake? There's a
Right.
campsite, there's houses, there's cottages.
It's like undocumented. Like, nope, forget Lake Michigan. Forget like all the Great Lakes. It's like
The secret Great Lake you never knew about.
Right.
Camp Crystal Great Lake.
Camp Crystal Great Lake.
Okay, so our favorite quote from the movie is as follows.
Okay, and then over.
I told the others. They didn't believe me. You're all doomed. You're all doomed.
Thank you, Crazy Ralph. Always a good time.
Yeah.
Sad to see him go in this movie so soon.
Yeah. He brought a lot to the table here.
True. I mean, he tried to warn the
He tried
others.
to warn them.
They didn't believe him.
It's like, no, we're going to camp.
Who was right? Who was right? Hashtag Ralph was right.
Hashtag Crazy Ralph. In this one we get Baghead Jason.
Yes, which is one of my favorite designs, just because it's so like low budget. He's just like, I'm just gonna put a fucking bag on my head and cut 1 eye hole, not 2, because who needs peripheral vision?
Nope, just one side.
Just one.
One side's enough.
Yeah, and it's I meant to look this up before we started shooting the episode, but the design of the character is very similar to another movie, which is called The Town That Dreaded Sundown, and I believe that the Town That Dreaded Sundown was before Friday the 13th Part 2. Okay. So I would imagine they drew some inspiration from that. Same idea, except for the killer in Town That Dreaded Sundown actually decided to,
2 eyes.
cut 2 eye holes.
Yeah, it was like that. Well, you said it was this movie kind of drew inspiration from that.
Mm-hmm.
I could see like a movie in like the future, like more recent, like The Strangers.
Yeah,
that
true.
Kind of drawing inspiration from this movie.
Burlap Sack Man.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like, we'll just put a smiley face on it. But even he's got 2 eye holes. He knows what's up.
True.
Jason, he just thought 1 eye hole would do it.
Yeah.
And that's probably why he gets beat up so much in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, he lives, but I mean...
he gets his ass kicked by Ginny. Which, shout out to Ginny. She's one of our favorite final girls.
She's my favorite.
Paige's favorite final girl. So, Paige, what did you think overall of Friday the 13th Part 2?
Comparing to the first one, I liked it. The kills were, I don't think they were necessarily like better.
Yeah.
We'll get into that, but I don't know. I mean, it's like right between like obviously like the first and the third one. I love the third one. I love Ginny in this one.
Yeah.
But it's like the story was like.
Right. I feel like that's what really holds back Friday Part 2 a lot is you're kind of just watching more of the same, which you could say that for like even the third movie is kind of just the same thing again.
Right.
But the characters are just, besides Ginny and besides Paul, really it's like all of the characters in Friday 2 are just kind of like whatever. They're like very nothing.
Yeah.
None of them are particularly memorable again outside of Ginny and Paul.
Yeah.
And
because it's like the typical like the recap that we watched. It was like, you know, the typical like hot girl, and then like the guy that's like crazy about her, and then just like
the jokester,
right?
Like very very stereotypical slasher cast of characters, and not that that's a bad thing, but there's other Friday movies where those characters are in those archetypes, and they're so much more entertaining.
Right.
Like I know I always bring up Part 7, but like I feel like Part 7's all of the characters in that movie are all pretty like memorable, at least to me in my mind, like especially like Melissa, because she's such a bitch.
Yeah. Honestly.
Like, but this movie, it's just like all of the characters are just kind of like, oh yeah, whatever.
I mean, they were kind of coming like off of the hype of the first one, so I feel like they didn't necessarily like try as hard. It was just like
yeah,
we made a buttload of money off of the first one, why not?
Yeah. And this movie was actually released under a year after the first movie.
Yeah.
Just under a year. So that's pretty crazy. To me though, Part 2 is a solid entry. I really like the design of Jason. I really like Ginny. But again, it would rank kind of lower overall on my franchise ranking, if you will.
Yeah, for sure.
So what was your favorite kill of Friday the 13th Part 2?
It's my favorite one, but it's also like really sad.
Oh no.
When Mark gets like killed with the machete like coming from the front, which the angle that he's getting killed from doesn't make sense at all. Whatsoever.
How did he not see Jason? He had to be standing right there.
Right. But yeah, just they did him so bad. Just like now he's gonna roll off the porch and down all of these stairs.
Right. And I showed you in the game, because the game has fairly accurate recreations of certain locations from the franchise. Mm-hmm. And the staircase is a good
It's a distance.
It's a good little bit away from
Right.
where he gets hit in the face and falls down the first set of stairs. So it's like he had to roll and then roll to the left and then go down all these stairs. And then, of course, it's even funnier because it freeze frames and zooms in.
Right.
And you're just like, was this supposed to be funny?
Right. Like, it's so bad.
Yeah. But that was funny, though, when we sat down to watch the movie and you're like, they're not going to kill the guy in the wheelchair. And I was like, yeah. They would never do that.
No one is safe.
No one is safe.
All right. And for you, what was your favorite kill out of this movie?
My favorite kill is definitely just the Bay of Blood reference, the 2-for-1 spear stab. It's not particularly gory, but I just like the idea of just two people getting stabbed at once with where did he? Oh, well, I guess he got the spear from the costume, but like, don't you think that would have been a prop spear?
Oh yeah.
Like, so that jokester guy was legit toting around a real spear. Dangerous.
Yeah, that's a little.
That's not
risky.
That's not safety for a counselor. There's also a ton of people in this movie, but they all go to the bar.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many counselors at the beginning of the movie, and then they're just like, well, we don't want to kill that many people.
Yeah.
So they're all going to go to the bar and never come back.
Especially, like, yeah, the one guy in the movie, I forget what his name is, but he's, like, the goofy guy.
Yeah.
He's like scaring everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Should have brought him back.
Right.
Should have had that included somewhere.
Yeah, and he just gets too drunk and passes out at the bar.
Right.
Another thing we forgot to mention is we actually got a follow-up on Alice from the first movie.
Yes. Yeah. It's not as far in advance as like how they're going. They're not jumping as far with her. It was 2 months after her incident at Camp Crystal Lake.
Which this movie starts out with a painfully long recap of the first movie. It's like 5 minutes long and just intercut with her literally squirming on the bed.
Yeah, just like having flashbacks.
And they just keep doing it every single movie. That's why sometimes when you're marathoning Friday the 13th, you're like, I wish I could watch a version that just cut these scenes out.
Right.
And I know I could fast forward, but I'm too lazy for that.
Yeah. That's too bad.
So, the only time in the entire franchise we get a follow-up on a final girl.
Yeah.
And she's just immediately iced. Literally, because she gets stabbed with an ice pick.
With an ice pick, yeah.
Yeah, it's sad to see her go. And I think you were thinking that this movie was going to continue to follow her.
Which is my beef with these movies because they never follow up with any of the people that actually live in them. So they need to get on that. Get on it, making a movie that includes like all of these people that have lived.
It's all just going to be a bunch of old 40 to 60-year-old ladies,
right? Like,
battling Jason.
Almost like a grown, like an It situation. Like they come back and it's like, oh, we're gonna take him down.
I would watch that movie.
Yeah,
I would watch that. Just final girls beating on Jason.
Right.
Tina,
Ginny,
right.
Like
Tina, Ginny, Chris, even though she goes crazy at the end of part 3, presumably.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny that Jason also, the idea of Jason carrying his mom's head around and then he's like, I'm gonna put it in the fridge.
Right.
It's like, this is gonna be so funny.
Oh my God.
Jason's the ultimate prankster.
Yeah.
He's just like, you should have seen the look on your face.
That's all he does in these movies. Just all pranks.
Well, yeah, when all the final girls do like the final, like body run where all the bodies are conveniently falling out of everywhere and you're just like, I want to see a movie where Jason's like, this is going to be so awesome.
Right.
Gotta hang this body up in the tree.
Like all the effort that he puts into like throwing these bodies through windows.
Yeah. I just imagine him in the bushes like watching the final girl and he's like, yes.
He's like, this set up so perfectly.
They call me Rube Goldberg.
Oh my God. Yeah, but if we favorite kills, compare them to the first one.
Yeah, just comparing the kills in general.
Yeah. I feel like you saw a lot more in the first one with the kills, especially some of like the more like bloody ones.
Yeah.
With this one it was very below. Like you saw the reaction, but you didn't see it like actually being executed. So it was, I don't know.
And a lot of the deaths are fairly tame or like don't have any blood.
Yeah.
Like when the police officer gets hit in the back of the head with the hammer, you just see his reaction. You don't actually see like the hammer go in.
Right.
And I think you can definitely tell that this movie was missing Tom Savini because he didn't do the makeup for this movie.
Yeah.
Because the kills are so tame. There's like some throat slits, like you said. There's the below the screen stabbings that are classic of the franchise.
Yeah.
And that's disappointing.
I mean, I feel like you got like 3 good ones. Like you got the first, not necessarily like, okay, Ralph, you saw him getting killed. Yeah. Against the tree. And then the
with a piece of barbed wire too.
It's like kind of brutal. Yeah, that would like there's choking and then there's getting like your shit like just completely shredded while you're getting choked.
Right.
And then I forget what her name is. But she's the one that's coming. Wait, no. I'm like getting the first one mixed up into this one. Scratch that.
Confusion.
She's the one girl that's like pining over Mark.
Mm-hmm.
She gets the axe to the face in the bathroom.
You're confusing it with the first one again.
No.
Yes.
No.
The girl that's pining for Mark gets stabbed under the camera.
Are you sure?
Yeah. 100%. Marcy is the girl that gets hit with the axe. That's in the first movie. That's Kevin Bacon's girlfriend.
Oh, you're right. Okay, well, yeah, she gets stabbed and it's lame.
Yeah.
And then Mark gets fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple good kills, but I would definitely agree with you overall. The kills in part 1 are, I would even go so far as to say probably significantly better. Because, again, you also get the hot girl. You literally don't see her die at all.
Right, she
screams at the camera and then that's it.
And it's
then,
like...
And you see her body later and she's literally just laying on the ground, perfectly fine. No, not even just a little bit of blood on her or anything like that. She's legitimately just laying on the ground.
She just looks asleep.
Right. She
Like,
could very well be alive. And
right.
Jenny was just like, I'm not even going to try.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like that is like one of the lamest kills, period, in Friday the 13th is just screaming at the camera.
Right. Like, okay, cool. Like,
but you know, big ups to this movie because Muffin lives. The dog.
the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing I also wanted to mention was Jason getting his ass beat in this movie. Ginny is a bad bitch.
Yeah. She's got that child psychology going on. She knows what she's doing with that.
I just love the part when she comes out with the chainsaw and Jason's legitimately like, "Oh shit!" And he's
Like, what the hell is going on?
like I didn't sign up for this, man.
Like, what the hell, Mom? Like,
then he gets hit with the chair too, and you're just like, "Damn!"
like she's going straight all like TLC on his ass.
And then later she puts the machete through his shoulder.
Yeah.
And you're just like, damn.
She's got some combat skills
like,
here.
Ginny is fucking him up. And it's so awesome.
She's like, survive. I gotta survive. Like,
yep.
She
and then
uses it to her, like, I don't know, to her strengths.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Then
so great.
Of course, the very iconic scene where Ginny puts on the sweater because we see the little Pamela shrine, which the actual Pamela's head comes in this.
Oh man.
You could see Pamela's head right there.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Good stuff.
But that scene is just awesome.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that scene.
Well, yeah, because, you know, she knows what she's doing.
Yep.
Like, Paul's like, oh yeah, child psychology. Like, why don't you use it? And then she's like, okay.
She's like, it's not a bad idea. And it works for a second.
Right.
Until she moves a little bit too far out of the way and he's like, oh, wait. Nope.
That's not my mom.
But it's just enough time for him to get messed up. Mm-hmm. And then we also get the awesome, again, Friday the 13th staple, the one last jump scare where Jason busts through the glass and he looks awesome. I love the long hair and the beard. But then, obviously, he just never looks like that ever again.
Nope.
So it's like, okay, jumping into the logic real quick. We like to go down these rabbit holes.
Yes.
Of 2, 3, and 4 all taking place within the same weekend. So after Friday 2, Jason goes back to his shack and shaves his head and shaves his beard. Because in Friday 3, he's bald and clean shaven.
Right.
So you're like, I want to know why. Why did he want to ditch his long hair? He looked so cool with the long hair and the beard. I mean, he looks terrifying in part 3.
Right.
Especially at the end with the,
you
know, the glass window. But that's like one of the scariest scenes in Friday franchise, period.
Honestly, yes.
And then so that brings us to our big question of Friday the 13th part 2. One of the biggest unsolved mysteries of the Friday franchise.
Why are we even surprised?
Why are we even surprised? There's little to no continuity, but what happened to Paul?
Where the hell is Paul?
Paul lives all the way through the movie, through the final scene, through the final Jason encounter, which to me, I think that the final Jason encounter in part 2 is real. Mm-hmm. And I think that he really did jump through the window. And I don't understand if Paul did die, why wouldn't they show it, you know? Like, why wouldn't they give us, like, that final kill?
I don't know. I wouldn't write it off as he died.
Right.
I don't know. I hate how they wrote it off as it was just, like, a dream sequence, almost. Like, they don't mention at the end, like, him being alive. It's just like, oh, Ginny was found alive.
Yeah, and Ginny's going, where's Paul? Where's Paul?
Yeah.
And they're just like, Like,
Yeah.
no one says anything.
Almost like a who's Paul?
Right.
Like-
So it's like if he did die, don't you think they'd be like, sorry, he's dead?
Yeah.
Or if he lived, don't you think they'd be like, he's in this ambulance? But
Yeah.
they just don't mention it at all. But what I really feel like this boils down to is I just feel like the filmmakers were just like, what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? No one is going to look that deep into it. But here we are.
Yeah. There's
Here we
so
are.
many people that have the same question too.
Yeah.
It's like, I just want some answers.
Yeah, we watched a couple YouTube videos about it for some research.
Yeah.
And the one YouTube video we watched, I'll link it in the description because I want to give the guy credit,
Right.
at least.
Yeah.
But he brought up a very valid thing where on the back of one of the Friday Part 2 DVDs, there's actually a picture of Paul where he looks presumably like he's in the middle of getting murdered. Like he has a very shocked expression on his face.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a deleted scene
Maybe.
that we never got to see and that they've never released with any of the movies, which is entirely possible.
Right.
But yeah, I just feel like, I don't know, I don't want to believe that he died.
No. But I feel like they just we're so stuck with the idea of, it has to be a final girl. Like, final girl, that's the only people that can like live in these movies.
Yeah.
That they were just like, we don't really know how to kill him off. Like, we also don't want to show it. So it's like, I don't know, maybe she was just imagining that he was alive the whole time. Like, at least towards the end.
Yeah. Like with so you're saying that maybe the window jumping scene was an illusion?
Well, because it, like, says that he carried her back to the cabin.
Yeah, Paul does.
Yeah. So it's like, maybe she just imagined that.
Yeah,
Like, maybe she actually was, like, doing it on her own. But, I don't know.
So you're thinking that Paul died even earlier, perhaps in the shack, and that Ginny imagined Paul carrying her back to the cabin, but it was really her just walking back herself.
Possibility.
I like where your mind's at.
Yeah. Because there's, like, the whole fight scene with Paul and Jason. So it's, like, very possible that he could have gotten killed
Yeah,
in that whole instance.
I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Dang,
Yeah.
you're coming at me with some straight truth nukes right
Some
here.
knowledge. I got knowledge.
Conspiracies.
Conspiracies.
Yeah, so no idea what happened to Paul. What do you think happened to Paul? Comment down below. Join the discussion, if you
Yes.
will. So, Paige, that was Friday the 13th Part 2. Do you have any closing thoughts?
It was good.
It was good.
coming off
It's good.
of what Friday the 13th Part 1 was, I feel like it was good for what it was. Like, I feel like they might have put this movie out too soon.
Yeah. Definitely rushed.
Yeah, they were coming out off of, I feel like, a lot of hype from the first one. So they've kind of just felt like the rush, maybe, to put out something
They
again.
saw those dollar signs.
Yeah,
And we're like, let's get it going. Let's get it cracking.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that this movie could have been a lot better had they given just a little bit more time. Although for the most part, each year a Friday movie came out, so they were mostly yearly releases. But I think that this is, I don't want to misquote anything, but I'm pretty sure that this is the only Friday movie that was actually released within under a year of another Friday movie. I think most of the Friday movies afterwards got at least a full year to be shot and made, and that especially shows with quite a few of them.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that is our review / just general discussion of Friday the 13th Part 2. What do you guys think of the movie in general? Where does it rank in your Friday rankings? We'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like on it. Subscribe if you're new, which chances are you are. And if you are, hey, how are you? Thanks so much for stopping by and spending some time with us, and hope you subscribe and ring that bell, because that would be greatly appreciated.
Yes.
Of course, I'm Nate. I'm joined with
Paige.
and we will see you next time on Rehash the Slash.